Welcome everyone to the part 2 of BFDI, but what if it was vote to save? As you may remember, we just had to get into the merge. I don't think the announcer would make it so that if you received like 27 votes in total, that would be extra 27 points. And well, because of that, I don't think there would be 30 bonus points because, well, yeah. So yeah, this is the order of safety. And these are the points you get. Now let's add the win tokens. As you can see, Eraser got saved because of his 2 win tokens. But sadly, we can't say the same thing about Pencil. This elimination was actually very hard, but I think Bubble would obviously be the first one safe. And so would TV. This leaves it down to the dreadful bottom 2, Rocky and Pencil. Rocky is here because he basically doesn't do much. And Pencil is here because of, well, she's not as liked as the other 2. As I said, this would be very close. But I believe that Rocky would be eliminated. Now it's time for the dreadful red ball finding contest. As you may remember, Pencil and Match were the first ones. Oh yeah, and as you may have noticed, since there are just so few points in the score, any little thing that you do to gain points or any little thing that you do to lose points makes the scoreboard change massively. So yeah, for now expect that a little. Next, since Ice Cube isn't here so that Leafy can give the maroon ball to her, she gives the maroon ball to the announcer and she basically loses 10 points. And also, since Rocky isn't here, maybe Tennis Ball would take more time to find his ball. I think Fiery would still manage to find that ball in a tree, so he survives. Followed by Match. She would barely escape the danger zone. I think that Needle, Teardrop, and Leafy, since we're working together to try to find the ball, since they are friends. But I think Tennis Ball would be the next one to find it. So he gets 10 points. But since he had 0 points, it still wouldn't be enough to make him safe. Blocky isn't here to pop Bubble, so she hands in the ball. But sadly, just like Tennis Ball, she's been left too far behind to be saved. As Eraser receives his first penalty. And Needle and Pin hand in their balls. And they are red, not maroon, unlike Eraser's. I think Teardrop and Leafy would now hand in their balls. But just like Bubble and Tennis Ball, Leafy handed it too late, so is up for elimination. Oh yeah, and Pen gets his ball. And finally, Eraser hands in his ball. So these 4 are up for elimination. Of course, Bubble and Leafy are the first ones safe, no doubt there. But the hard part is, who is gonna get out? Match or Tennis Ball? Match is here because she started to be annoying to many viewers, and Tennis Ball is here because he may be seen as boring. This battle might be close, but safe is Tennis Ball. Maybe Match would have survived if Bubble wasn't here for her to split up the votes with her. Who would have known? I think Spongy would still rejoin though. Let me just add up the points for the hurdle game thing. But before, Tennis Ball gets the 15 bonus points and the armless contestants get 10. Now let's actually add the hurdle points. And if you're asking what I would do with Needle Pin and Teardrop, then I will simply add up what I think they would be able to do. Now let's do the elimination. Of course, once again, Bubble and Leafy are going to be the first safe ones. And now we have the 2 enemies of Teapot, Teardrop and Eraser. Teardrop is here because, well, she hasn't done much. And Eraser is seen as boring. Anyways, last one safe is Teardrop. I see no timeline where Eraser would survive over her, so sorry. Now for the Vomit Taco episode, I believe that Needle, Pencil, Bubble, and Teardrop would do the barf back contest. So let's start with them. The colored water would still be colored water. Anyways, I think that the first one out would be Teardrop. And, well, Needle would take the bowling ball and accidentally would rip the barf bag. And then Pencil would throw it at her and Needle would get in the colored water. I think since it's just colored water, Bubble wouldn't, well, basically die. But anyways, I believe that in the end, they would both last 60 seconds. So let's add up the barf bag. And for the taco, well, I'm just gonna guess Pin scored. Since they say she's such a great cook, I'm gonna give her a 10. Now let's add up the scores. Yeah, I think this elimination is obvious, but anyways, Leafy is the first one safe by a mile. And then we have Teardrop and Pen. Teardrop is here because, well, she hasn't done much. And Pen is here because, well, he cheated and everyone hates cheaters. This wouldn't even be close. Pen is out. Now for the contest, originally it was to subtract points. But since this is inverted, they actually add the points. So yeah, let's begin. Armless people couldn't compete. So, well, and I'll think what Pin, Needle, and TD got. Now let's sum up the scores. And Fiery was immune this episode. This elimination was extremely hard for me to guess, but I'd say that Bubble and Leafy would be the first ones safe because they're fan favorites. And on a pretty close gap in votes, Spongy, Teardrop, and Pin. Now we have the bottom three, Tenniswell, Pencil, and Needle. I think there would be a very close battle between these three, but if I had to say, I think that Needle would survive. This leaves it to Pencil and Tenniswell. Tenniswell is here because he might be seen as boring, and Pencil is kind of mean at this point. And we know how people feel about mean characters. I'm sorry, but I think Pencil would be out. Not only is she mean, which is disliked by the viewers, she'd also have to split votes with Bubble. And Bubble would receive a lot more votes than her because she's a fan favorite. So yeah, Pencil is eliminated. Now it's time for the frisbee throwing contest. Let's make up the pairs. I think finishing first would be Pin and Leafy, then Bubble and Teardrop, then Tennisbell and Fiery, and finishing last with Spongy and Needle. Now let's see the adds and removals. Bubble would receive 125 votes for getting the most votes and the cake is steak. And here are the scores they would get. Let's add them up. But remember, there's a debut, so the contestants vote. Let's see what the contestants think. I think Pin would vote for Spongy, since she thinks he's not a real contestant. Fiery thinks Spongy is gross, so he would vote for him. I think Teardrop would vote for Tennisball, since his intelligence may seem as a threat. And Leafy might vote Tennisball off, since she is friend with Bubble and Spongy. It leaves it down to Needle. Who will she choose? Well, most likely Spongy. Well, I guess the Sponge Boy is eliminated once again. David still joins the show, and the scoreboard got downgraded. The next challenge is the staring contest. For the first round, I think Needle would win over Tennisball. David would scare Fiery, so Fiery would blink. I think Teardrop would maybe over Last Pin. And Bubble tricks Leafy into blinking. For round 2, David would scare Bubble, and Teardrop would outlast Needle. And I think Teardrop wouldn't be able to be staring at David for 13 hours, so she loses. Now let's add up the scores. TB, Bubble, and Teardrop are UFP. Of course, Bubble would receive the most votes by a mile, and leaving is either Tennisball or Teardrop. Tennisball is here because he might be seen as boring, and Teardrop is also here because she doesn't do much. Of course, Tennisball is eliminated. Now it's time for the unicycle contest. Without Spongy so that Bubble can bounce, she stays on the ground. Leafy dies, going the other way to prevent being near Bubble. And I think Needle would be the first one to arrive, followed by Fiery, and then David. Since Needle was the first one to get here, she'll choose one person to stay safe, and that is Teardrop. I believe it's obvious who is leaving, but anyways, first safe contestant is Bubble. Now it's either Leafy or Pin. Leafy is here because, well, Bubble is more like than her, and Pin is also here because, well, the other contestants are more like than her. Sadly, Pin is out. Now it's time for the spacecraft contest. Sponge isn't here to kill Leafy, but I believe that the first person going out would be David, since he's an easy target. Next one out would probably be Teardrop and Leafy. Needle would get sucked into the black hole, and Fiery would lose his spaceship due to budget cuts. So Bubble survives and picks Leafy. But remember, this is a rejoin episode, so the contestants choose. Yeah, I think it's obvious who is going here. David. He is pretty disliked by the contestants and is seen as weird. So yeah, he's out. Now, let's see who rejoins. I've decided to skip to the final 5. But well, even though Ice Cube and Tennis Ball are pretty liked, I don't think they would make it. Same thing goes with Pencil. And now it's down to Queenie and Rocky. Queenie would get a lot of votes because people would want to see his rivalry with Fiery back, and Rocky's here because he's a pretty liked contestant. That's why I think Rocky rejoins. For the contest, Leafy still jumps the farthest, and she has no reason to give out her immunity. So yeah, this elimination is pretty close. But I believe that, say with me, Bubble is the first one safe. Followed then by Teardrop and Rocky. Now it's between Fiery and Needle. Fiery is here because he might be seen as bland, and Needle is here because of her snappiness. Anyways, last one safe is Needle. I think Fiery was just too boring for the viewers. So that is it for the winner of Season 1. Neither Fiery, Flower, or Spongy would be here to kill the announcer, so he would still give out the contest. It would still be to escape the volcano, and since Needle is lava-proof, I think she would be able to escape. And who does she choose? I think it would be Teardrop. So yeah, now let's do the elimination. Of course, Bubble would be the first one safe. And now it's the bottom 2 between Leafy and Rocky. Leafy's niceness might start to be annoying, and Rocky just doesn't do much. Anyways, last one safe is Leafy. Even though Rocky just rejoined, he's pretty boring. Now it's time for the final challenges. Even though a lot of things would change, I think Bubble would still win, distracting Leafy on their discussion. First one safe is Leafy because of her discussion with Bubble. And now it's between Needle and Teardrop. Needle is here because she can slap you sometimes. And Teardrop's here because, well, she didn't do much lately. Last one safe is Teardrop. Hey, at least Needle made it quite far now. Now it's time for the finals. Who will get third place? That is Leafy. She was a great competitor with a great arc, but I don't think she would be able to win. And actually winning is Bubble. She was a great competitor as well, according to the announcer. Teardrop managed to get runner-up. Not bad. I believe that Bubble would let everyone into Dream Island. But then how would a Season 2 make out? Well, let's find out. But later.